congratulate you because, well, technically you've kind of graduated from the first chapter of your career on Nashville and kind of going into the second one. Would you call it that? In like a new chapter?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
And,
From the show into the music world and like the whole transition of doing solo and all that has definitely been a graduation for sure.
Yeah, and I kind of noticed that in your songs, like you've opted for a more reflective and I guess heartfelt route, but it's still really endearing and you can see your astuteness compared to other artists kind of guide themselves into this really wild, like outlandish track for initial attention. Can you talk about taking this like more conversational route?
Yeah. Honestly, like all my favorite music and what I listen to and what I love is like lyrically I love like more singer-songwriter kind of exactly that, like conversational lyrics that are just like people talking, you know?
Yeah.
And just expressing themselves and from the heart, and that's like those are the lyrics I connect to. So I kind of, and I feel like in pop music that's not as much of a thing. So it's kind of becoming more of a thing now. So I think, like, just, bringing, like, those kind of lyrics and exactly what you're saying, like, the more conversational into, like, more of, like, a pop track is, it's just kind of, I just thought that would be a cool mix, you know, just finding that balance.
Yeah, certainly. And I wanted to know, this is your first project solo. Can you talk about what your philosophy and kind of your outlook was on your own artistry when you were going into it, and if that kind of changed as you were going along and you were learning more from the people around you?
Yeah, it totally did change. It was like a constant change, honestly. It was like just kept evolving and I just kept thinking that I found the sound and kept thinking that I found what I wanted to sound like and what I wanted to feel like and all these things, and I just kept learning more and meeting new writers that just like I was so inspired by, or like we wrote, so you know what I mean? It just kept like getting more and more inspired, and then I just kept being like, wow, I'm so glad I didn't, put out what I thought I was ready, you know what I mean? Like, I'm so glad that, and also I was filming TV shows I wasn't able to, so that kind of, like, made it, like, a really good way that I literally wasn't able to release stuff, so in a way that was, like, a really, really positive thing, because I now look back, I'm like, oh, thank God, like, I've grown so much, and I've really locked into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like a perfect time to construct your own world.
Yeah, exactly. And it just kind of like the timeline of it all. Like literally, I was just writing, and then all of a sudden we were just like, okay, cool, let's put out an EP, and it just it literally just happened one day where we were like, okay, I think it's time to put some stuff out, and then we just kind of did single by single, and then put the EP out, but. Yeah, I was literally writing. I still am writing, like, up until it all. It's still just a constant, finding and gradually, like, figuring out, it's just always evolving, for sure.
Yeah, and because you're constantly writing, I was kind of curious. What I liked about this EP is that everything honestly meshes so well together, even from the album cover. Like, I saw the album cover as this picture of you broken, but yet still somehow pieced together. And it was kind of like, love me, like this is to the world from Lennon.
Yeah.
And there's just such a beautiful cohesion. Can you talk about why these 5 songs perfectly defined yourself in this era? Because you're still writing and always making new stuff. So how are these 5 songs?
I feel like these songs just kind of just put all together. They have a bunch of different emotions and different feelings, and some of it was what I was feeling towards other people, or like La Di Da was very much about argument and then understanding feelings, but then Breakaway is all about very much like internal, like all myself, and I think just kind of I wanted it to all be like they're all feelings, and it's just a matter of like different feelings and kind of having them all. They all feel a similar heaviness, and like I just like I just like them all to have like a certain weight, and like I don't know, I do like it to be sad. I like them to have a sadness, to be honest. So like having them feel sad and lyrically have like a heaviness, but then even when you're able to like it's still dancey and fun, you know?
Yeah.
So, but I feel like these songs just, like, were over time, and Breakaway and La Di Da were both happened at, like, when I was on, like, a writing trip, and they just, it would look very much like when I found that sound, and Breakaway was, like, the first one where I was like, oh, okay, like, this production is totally what I love. Like, that was, like, the first one, and then just kind of, like, grew over that time, and just, I feel like these 5 songs, like, really represent a bunch of different emotions, but all emotions that I felt, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's exactly what I felt when I was listening to it as well. Like, it's really amazing how your vision comes to life so well in that I can understand that so well.
I love that. Thank you so much.
And I loved how you talk about how you're talking about really heavy lyrics with just that bouncy youthfulness sonic, but with a really mature subject matter, I guess. Can you talk about, I guess, would you say that there are 2 sides to your personality?
Oh, yeah, 100%. I think that I definitely, like, it's a constant balance with me, to be honest. I'm very, like, in my brain and in my head all the time, but, and I can go into, like, full-on, like, just completely antisocial, like, do not want to associate with anyone. But then also I can be super social, and the second I'm thrown into a room full of people that I love, I'm, like, the most social. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
So I think that's, like, a definitely big 2 sides of my personality that I think this EP kind of shows, because, there's different songs in it that just have that, where it's, like, very much more internal. Like, Breakaway is very much talking to myself and just, like, what I was going through, and then there's ones that are talking outward and more of, like, conversational to somebody else.
Yeah. And also with kind of how you talk about you really represent your 2 personalities, and it's important for you to represent them. I also saw, like, a duality between negative and positive in what you were talking about as you went along through the album. Like, you really started at a crossroad and then kind of felt dejected in Breakaway. I kind of got that vibe. But then there was just this, like, burst of strength in Fortress when you kind of shut down the negativity. Like, you're addicted to my sadness, and then you just say no more. Can you talk about maintaining, like, your sense of self in that situation? And do you always have that glass half full attitude? Like, is that strength always something that's been there? How was it for you to heal, kind of?
I definitely am a glass half full kind of. I just like to live my life that way. Just honestly, I really believe so strongly that everything happens for a reason. That so much so that I just feel like that kind of keeps me at just like I just really trust in the universe in that sense.
Yeah.
So that makes me see things, you know, that way most of the time. Obviously, like, heartbreak and all these things, it definitely, like, can bring you down. So having that, I think Fortress was just kind of like that moment where it's like, I'm not going to, like, continue to just, you know, be stomped on. So I think that it's important to have that outlook, and also you're allowed to feel the sadness and feel the heartbreak of it all, and then in doing so, you'll be able to, like, get over it. You know what I mean? But you definitely, I think it's important to, like, also allow yourself to feel whatever you're feeling and not always be so, like, so positive. I think that's a big thing. I want to just, like, be honest in whatever I'm feeling, whether it can be super negative or it can be, like, whatever, like, super sad or whatever the feeling is. I think just being honest about it is, like, the way to be, instead of, like, always trying to be a certain way. You know what I mean? I don't want to always just be singing the most positive songs. You know, obviously I want to make people feel good. I want to make myself feel good. But I just want to, like, write about what I feel, and whatever that is. You know, sometimes it will be super sad, or sometimes it will be dark, you know?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And that healing, like, do you feel that it happens as soon as you kind of put the pen to paper, or do you really need to internalize it first and take your own time before being able to properly and authentically write from your heart? How is that process?
I feel like I'm such, like, I have so many things going on in my brain that I feel like before I go to a session, I always have to, like, sit down and, like, think about what I'm feeling and feel it and get it all in one little cluster, and then go and tell, to the co-writers or whatever, and then talk about it more freely. But sometimes it happens that sometimes I'll get into a session and someone will, like a co-writer will, like, ask me something that kind of triggers something, and then it just happens on the day, in the moment, and then, like, that happens often, actually. But I would say most of the time, like, I go into a session with a feeling that I already know that is, like, at the forefront of my emotions, and I just, like, want to go and let it out,
Yeah. And I think that's a risk, like, just vocalizing in front of people. I guess maybe you're not so used to kind of saying it to. What do you think was the most challenging thing you encountered in the face of all these risks that you took being at your first project?
I think, I'm trying to think of what I found the most challenging. I think locking into a consistent, I love so much, like, so many different things and visuals and things that make me feel different ways. And I'm just like, I don't know, it was hard for me to lock into, like, a certain consistency that just, like, stayed the same the whole time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was, like, the one thing that sometimes I found, because I love so many different sounds and so many different, like, you know what I mean? There's so many different things that inspire me that I'm like, that was a thing that just over time I just felt like it happened. But then that was the one thing that I was like, just sticking to one sound or one kind of thing. I just wanted to just all feel consistent.
Yeah.
But as far as writing, I feel like, to be honest, like, I just want to, everything I write is so personal, and it's just, like, always a feeling that I'm feeling, and I don't really know how to write any other way. Like, I've never just written about, like, I always write about what I'm feeling, so it's, like, sometimes that can really hurt other people's feelings.
Yeah.
And, like, and that's, like, the people that you write about, like, they know it's about them, and is it worth putting that into the world? You know what I mean? Like, those are things that were hard for me, to be honest, because I just, like, shit, this is gonna hurt someone's feelings. You know what I mean? Even bad, like, it's so specifically about somebody, and he knows it's about him. And, the other girl knows it's about her, and it's just like, do I want to put our whole story out into the world? You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. And,
like, that was something that I was considered a lot.
But there's a positive to take out of that, in that you really don't, I guess, manipulate your authenticity. Instead, you're versatile in another way through the production and like the really courageous sonics, I guess, that are really addictive. So can you talk about I guess you don't...
Thank you so much, by the way. I really appreciate everything you're saying a lot.
That's okay. It's very true. Like, it's really easy to say these things when you mean it. So I just wanted to ask, like, you really don't, I guess, compromise your authenticity in terms of writing, but the sonics are so different and unusual and add really gravity to your vocals. Can you talk about, I guess, pushing your comfort zone in that way and making sure your authenticity was kind of also played out there in that aspect of the music?
Yeah. I think I've always, like, loved just being creative when it comes to, like, exactly, like, the sonics and just, like, all the actual sounds of the production. I think as long as my vocals remain very, like, organic and like, not have a bunch of tuning or all these things that, I think will just make it go really, really pop. Yeah. I wanted to keep, like, vocals and harmonies and the lyrics all feeling very organic and, like, not necessarily like a pop record. But then having the track feel like, like, I love, experimenting when it comes to sounds and different beats and different synth sounds and all these things. Like, I love all that stuff. So I wanted to find that balance of, like, keeping my vocal and the harmonies and all that staying super true to, like, everything I love. You know what I mean? So I think that was where I just wanted to keep it really, really honest and, like, just keeping the vocals as like, honest and just, like, not touched. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because I guess a good song works if the like, the lyrics and how you sing it, are portrayed really well. Like, it doesn't matter in what
Yeah.
sound they take. Is that kind of your philosophy and your outlook on it?
Totally. I think, honestly, if you sing something you mean, like, and you actually feel it and you actually mean it, like, people will believe it because you mean it and you feel it. And it's like, whether or not someone necessarily, like, agrees with whatever you're saying, like, it's still, like, you still believe it and people will still feel that from you. And I think that's just, I fully believe that.
Yeah, certainly. I really love to hear that. And also, just because we're running out of time, I lastly wanted to ask you, this EP is really remarkable and such a breath of fresh air. Did you kind of expect yourself to be able to do something like this? And what was the biggest thing the EP like has done for you and helped you do, apart from obviously unleashing your creativity and sharing your talent with the world? Like, did it help guide what you want to do next, or?
Yeah, I think it kind of put me in, like, just having it out there, like, feels like I didn't realize, like, how, it's just because I've been writing for so long, and we've just been, like, kind of waiting for this perfect time. It's like, I didn't realize how much, like, it was building up inside me, so that when I was out in the world and, like, it just felt like this, like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize, like, this weight had just been lifted, and it was just, like, felt like such, just, like, a breath just to have it into the world and just people responding to it. So that alone for me is just, like, sparked so much, like, inspiration in me. I'm just, like, so ready to go back and write more and, like, just experiment and more different things. Like, it completely, like, I was just writing so much that I'm not gonna lie, I got a little bit tired out where I was just like, I'm so, because nothing was being put out and nothing was going into the world, so I was just writing, and, like, that's so amazing. But at the same time, I'm just, like, I just get lost inspiration along the way, you know what I mean? And so now having it out, I'm just, like, totally feel like I've just, like, recharged the battery and I'm, like, ready to go. So, it's like, I think that as far as my creativity and, like, just that, like, it completely recharged me in that sense. And obviously it's really, really cool reaching new people and, like, seeing it, like, get to new friends and new people in the world is really, really, really cool to me.
Yeah, and especially now, I guess you're able to see that more because you're singing it in front of a crowd and it's so intimate. Is that right?
Yeah, no, honestly, it's like, it's an entirely, I was so not expecting everyone to be singing every single word, and I just, like, from the second I walked out, like, every single word, I was just like, how is it possible? Like, it's so crazy to me. It's really, 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 really so surreal, but, like, that takes it to, like, an entirely new level, like, seeing it in real life, like, as many Instagram DMs or any of that you get, like, obviously it's amazing, and I feel them, and I read them all, and it's, like, of course, but, like, feeling in real life and feeling the energy and, like, actually talking to people that, like, you know, love it,